Here, just a little. This is a box elder, which is a real trash tree, but it has some incredible color that pops out on occasion, and it's kind of fun to work with. My preference, my distinct preference in turning any of the woods is to turn them while they're green, because part of the beauty that comes out of the final product is the warping that occurs. So not only are there markings that have to do with stress on the tree and aging, as well as the natural characteristics of the different tree species, but additionally the changes that occur in the drying process, if they're not cracked, are quite interesting to see and to enjoy. But we always turn the outside of the bowl first and then reposition it on the lathes so that now it's secured, and we can start on the inside and begin the process of making it hollow or hollowing it out to some degree.
Now we're
deciding what thickness they have. So I'll just that's right. Sometimes people talk about bowl mills. I don't have a bowl mill that involves the use of tools that are holded in my hand. But it's a lot of fun to get, especially younger people to come by and have a little bit of hands-on, and I try to have some blanks ready that they can spend some time with. But you can see there's this yellow pinkish color that just jumped out here. But there was, in terms of where I'm able to get wood from, I get it mostly from people who are kind enough to share it with me. I seldom buy wood. But as you know the story of the snowplow knocked over a cherry tree. And,
this is a cherry tree?
This is a similar bowl. It's not actually from that same. But again, the beauty is that if you work with it while it's green, you can oftentimes stand a better chance of keeping the bark intact if you so desire, and then having a natural edge. And whether you get a natural edge or a flat edge is almost totally dependent upon how you approach it and mount it on the lathe. If you start one way, you'll end up with a flat surface.
Right.
If you start the other way,
you get it.
And like with this one, this will end up being following the natural contours of the tree. You almost never do what we would call end grain. In other words, if the tree's growing up, this is the way it would look. Like so.
This is
if you whack it off this way, you don't just hollow out a piece of it. That's called end grain turning, and that leaves the heart in, and that's almost inevitably going to crack. So that doesn't work except for specialized cases.
Oh wow, so interesting.
Some of the other woods that have, for instance, this. With the little tropical storm Irene we were helping some folks clean up their property, and a nice pine tree had floated down, and so as a memento of the event, we ended up making some bowls out of that tree.
So do you predominantly use live trees, or could those be like dead trees that have been dead for a while?
Dead. It was floating by. Sometimes I take down trees, or people have trees taken down. Mention was made of another tree, an ash tree that had been struck by lightning. And then I've got some birch here that was from nearby, also from a tree under which this gentleman's daughter had been married, and we thought that was important. And then from just up the way, we had a plum tree that had been there for
I think we have a couple of plum tree bowls.
Yes.
They're really nice.
Yeah.
So another quick question is, don't you have to wait for a tree like that to dry so it doesn't crack?
Well, again, there are several different approaches. In general, the cracking to some degree is going to take place regardless of what you do.
Oh, I see.
But you can sort of control the cracking, and there are two fundamental approaches, either once turn or twice turn. The once turn is, as I was saying, when it's really green, to turn it and turn it to final thickness, and then try to control the cracking tendency by typically putting it in a brown paper bag with some shavings and letting it dry very slowly. There are other techniques involving denatured alcohol and putting it in a freezer and microwaving and so forth, which I've had little success with. The other predominant approach is to turn it and leave it at least a tenth of the diameter and thickness, so leave it quite thick, and then dry it for a period of time. So you can use different measures to find out how much what the moisture content is,
And then come back to
and
it.
then come back and return.
Oh, wow.
And that works quite well too. That's not my preference again because I specifically like the warping that
Yeah,
occurs.
that's
And if you twice turn it, you don't end up with any warping. And that's the beauty of that approach, which is better for things like